Okay, so welcome everybody, and thank you so much for joining me this evening. I put together this presentation because I was just so inspired by Boyd's training, really. He's a brilliant man. He has a passion for everything essential oils. He's been using essential oils for 26 years on himself and on others. Especially in the massage therapy space. He started out with a hair salon business with his wife, and that's where he took on the passion and sharing of massage. And then the essential oils came into the picture through that business, where he went on to create the Symphony of the Cells because he wanted to provide people with powerful experiences and support with the essential oils and not necessarily focus so much on the business. It truly resonated with me because that's an approach that I prefer and have done. I do talk about the business a bit at the right time, but I lead with the product, which I believe is the doTERRA difference, and also reaching out to help and support others in their health concerns. So this really hit home with me, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. So to get started, welcome. So I am Byron Twilley. If you haven't met me before, I've been doing doTERRA for a while. That's what that title means, 6.5 years now. My wife and I, we own Pure Oils Natural Health business. And I've done a couple of things along the way in life's journey that help support me and what I do with the essential oils, which is really cool. And I just want to share with you what Boyd shared in his training late last year. And I wanted to do this earlier, and I apologize for not doing it earlier. But we sold a house and we bought a house and we moved into state. It's kind of a minor thing, but that's in the past. Now we're going to share the Symphony of the Cells. And thanks so much for joining me through this. So this webinar is intended for the Pure Oils community. It's not something that I've advertised publicly. This is something that I wanted to share with you guys purely so I could be a little bit more open with some of the information that's shared. And this is why Boyd also prefers to do a face-to-face training. And you won't really see him online much. It's quite funny. He has a Facebook group of which you can pay $5 a month to be a part of, and you get videos and content and a great community there. You can join that if you like. I have recently joined that. Don't feel you have to. I've got a bunch of resources to share with you as well. But the whole point of giving this information to you guys in a more closed off environment is I can share some of the content that was shared by Boyd, of which we're kind of limited to share online and in other public forums. So I want you guys to feel confident and empowered with the Symphony of the Cells a treatment to be able to use it for yourself and offer it to others for life-changing experiences. So what I'm going to talk a bit about today, just so you know what to expect, a little bit about massage, some guidance and ideas shared by Boyd, because he did talk a lot about that aside from the actual technique, which is so simple. I feel you can cover that in 10 minutes, and that's basically what I'm going to do that in this presentation. It's not going to be a day's training like the one that I attended, but he did a lot of protocols on a good portion of the class and talked throughout those protocols about various topics. I'm just going to demonstrate one of the techniques, of which is the base technique, and then we can take it from there. So he's big on the digestive system. We're going to do a demo like I mentioned, and we're going to also cover, where do you start, protocols, how much oils to use on not only young, old, and disease, but also pregnancy, etc. Can you perform the application on yourself? Answer is yes. We can skip that part, but I'm going to do a demo on that too. I'm going to talk about a 4 weeks to wellness challenge that I feel is a really good platform for you guys to be able to not only use for yourself, but to also use with others that you come into contact with. And this can be the disease, the people who are really struggling with chronic health concerns. So, and then there's a couple of other things to finish off FAQ, some substitutions and Q&A. So you guys can take yourself off mute in that section and hit me with the questions. So before we jump into our presentation tonight, I take note of this link. You can do a screenshot, write it down. I can also share this in the event in our Facebook group. But this is where you'll find all of the resources that I'm going to be talking about and sharing, including the application book as well, which I highly recommend that you get a copy of this book. It's only $20 from oilsforlife.com.au. So check out Oils for Life. And they also have the larger journal book as well, which I'll refer through this presentation too. But we're just going to be keeping it quite simple tonight and just focusing on the applications and what's in that application book and some of the powerful information, additional information that was shared by Boyd. So the power of massage, given that this is Boyd's grassroots where it all began, we touched on that. So it improves circulation. It's kind of like doing a dry body brush where we work from the point that's furthest away from our heart, being our right foot and leg, and then working the lymphatic system in towards the heart. So it's doing a similar sort of thing. And it's also stimulating the lymphatic system as well, which does rely on movement just through simple massage. He also touched on connective tissues communicating even faster than the nervous system. So when we think of maybe applying the oils, especially to the spine, of which the Symphony of the Cells is largely doing, we think, oh, okay, well, it's getting into the nervous system and it's getting communicated that way. The essential oils are actually, they're transferred or communicated throughout the body in a myriad of ways, through fluids, through our lymphatic system, our endocrine system, through breath and respiratory. It's not just the nervous system. But he also touched on this because in diving into connective tissue system communicating faster in preparation for this presentation, because he provides some invitations to dig a bit deeper. It talks a bit about body consciousness, of which I'm a huge fan of. Love Eckhart Tolle's work. And this is more of a scientific perspective on body consciousness, where it talks about information being stored in our connective tissue, which is not only just the usual tendons and ligaments and joints, etc. It's basically the body as a whole, and some scientists referring to it as liquid crystal, or communicating like this liquid crystal. And hey, another bonus of massage and touch is it feels good. It's relaxing. I don't know about you guys, but my number one love language is touch, which is pretty common for a lot of dudes. So I'm constantly screaming out for Renee to just poke me in passing in the hallway or something like that, and I just get this big endorphin rush. It's amazing. And words of affirmation, I believe, is my other love language. So, Symphony of the Cells versus aroma touch. So some of you who, and I know a lot of you have in our community have done Aroma Touch and attended an Aroma Touch training day with me, and you might be thinking, oh, well, is Byron saying like Aroma Touch is redundant now? We don't need to worry about that. I believe that there's a place for Aroma Touch and there's a place for Symphony of the Cells. I love Symphony of the Cells just because it is so simple and we can use it and apply it for ourselves. And then I love Aroma Touch because it is great at inducing homeostasis and a calm and present state. It's a more of a relaxation experience rather than just the slap and dash Symphony of the Cells technique, which everyone can do. And everyone can do Aroma Touch, but there is a little bit more technique. I mean, the technique is in the title, right? So there is technique and there's flow, and a lot of that rhythm is the beauty of Aroma Touch, and restoring rhythm and flow into the body through the touch component of Aroma Touch. You could probably do the Symphony of the Cells with a set of wooden spoons and still achieve a decent result. Whereas with Aroma Touch, we can't do that. It's all about the touch and the technique. Other things, it takes less time. We use a lot less oils in the Aroma Touch technique. And it's one technique with one set of the 8 oils that don't change for any specific health condition. This is just a very broad technique that has been created for the benefit of everyone to use on a daily basis. And yes, it can be used for chronic health concerns and supporting the body in times of need, but it's a very broad technique that everyone can benefit from, and that's the simplistic component of it, is the set of oils and the technique. It doesn't change. It's Aroma Touch, and they're very staunch in protecting that. If you do these movements and use these oils, it's called Aroma Touch, and it's not called anything else. So that's from the Aroma Touch perspective. Now, for Symphony of the Cells, very simple, 15 to 20 minutes at absolute max, and that includes somebody walking the door, asking them questions, getting ready to receive the technique, and they can receive the technique on a couch, on a massage table. You can even use one of those massage chairs where you put your knees down, kind of like one of those kneeling chairs, and your chest is on the support, your back is exposed, and your face is in a support section as well. So you don't have to be lying flat on your face to be able to do and receive the Symphony of the Cells technique. And like we mentioned earlier, you can actually perform it on yourself. There's 17 protocols designed for specific health conditions. It's not just 8 oils and one technique that can be used for everything. It is very specific. And we use more drops of essential oil. So this is a point of contention with Boyd's approach. It's bold. It's bold, and that's part of the reason why I really resonated and loved it. And some of the ideas that I'm going to share with you about how much essential oils you can use and how the body responds. So some people will look at these protocols and go, whoa, that's like, it's 50 oils that you're putting on your back. That's a lot of oil. And yeah, it is a lot of oil. So you're going to get some pretty drastic results pretty quickly. So that's a big difference between Symphony of the Cells and Aroma Touch. It is just a wham bam, thank you ma'am, in your face, getting it done approach to getting the benefits out of the essential oils. I believe it's even more easily shared and taught to others. And that's homework for you guys. Once you know how to use it, you're going to be teaching others how to do it, because you also need, the technique performed on you, not just constantly giving, right? It's nice to receive. And another really good thing to do when you come into contact with people who need this technique, and you might say, rightio, I'm going to do the C2 application, which is a very powerful application, and I've got a little story to share with you about that application. Is you would perform that protocol or that technique on the person, and then preferably you'd show somebody who can perform that protocol for them, so they can do homework when they get home. You see them the following week to come and receive the application again for maybe the first time of the week, and then they go home and they receive it a second and a third time for that week to target that specific health concern. So yes, homework and being consistent is so important with this technique. How's everybody going? Everyone can still hear me? Yep. Beautiful. Okay, cool. Right. You all know how I ramble on about hydration. This is probably another reason why I had stars in my eyes when Boyd's up there talking about water. One of my top 3 health priorities is water, breath, water, number 2, and number 3, rest and stress management. So water, how much we're composed of water, and the important thing that he spoke about in relation to this image that you can see here is we're born, or when in utero, we, when we're being formed in our birth canal, we're almost 100% water, and then that number, that percentage, slowly reduces through the years, through age. So it's so important to keep on keeping ourselves hydrated. And not only that, but when you think about that 60 to 70% of body composition being water, what have you been putting into your body? What's your toxicity like? What have you been exposed to in your environment? What have you been putting into your mouth? What have you been applying to your body? It's not just the foods that you're putting in, on, and around yourself and your body, but it's also your deodorants, your perfumes, etc. Yeah, I am sharing a screen. Can everybody see the screen? Can't see the screen. No way. You can just see me. I'm just rambling on here and you can't even see the screen. Right. Funny. Wonder when that stopped sharing. Okay. There we go. All right. So, did you guys see this picture? No. All right. That's just some other things I was talking about. We won't worry about that. So this image here, it shows how our water percentage, it decreases over time. We spoke about that. And then this image is the one that we're talking about. If you look at a glass of water, a nice clean glass of water versus one that has been tarnished with the things that we're putting in, on, and around our bodies, that's how we've got to look at ourselves. And when you think about how you respond to the oils, you got to think about what you've been putting in, on, and around your body for the last 30, 40 years, however long, and how much the oils have to work through that, right? So it may not necessarily be how you negatively respond to the oils. It's how what you've done to your body is responding to the oils, and how the oils are purely just trying to correct that situation and restore health and homeostasis. And that's a big part of Boyd's belief, and some other things I'll share in a moment with you. He also touched on blood type diets. So for B group blood types, he talks about being a balanced approach. So a bit of meat and also a bit of fruit and veg. And then he talks about O, and that being mostly a protein or a meat, leaning towards more meat in that diet. You guys probably heard about this. And then the A type is better, more suited to veg and vegan. And that's me. So I eat mostly vegan, except I love honey and I occasionally have some meat. So you can't put me in a box, but that's generally where I hang out. And I'm not saying get too attached to any certain diet. He did talk about the blood type diet, so that's why I'm sharing it with you. I don't have any experience or much knowledge on these diets. I just believe that closest you can get to whole foods is best. Obviously, reduced amount of meat. We're not designed to eat a lot of meat. We're not carnivorous. Our digestive system is too long to digest a lot of meat. But you guys know what to do. So I'm not going to go any further into that. Right. This is what I touched on just before. The oils are allergic to what you've put in your body, not the oils that you've put in or on your body. So oftentimes we might get people who, okay, I'm just looking at all your messages here. I'm going to put them over the side here so I can actually see them. Will have a skin reaction, and it's I did an overtouch technique on my sister, and she's highly sensitive. She's had skin conditions since she was in year 12, and her whole body just burst into psoriasis around her HSC. So is it stress related? I think it has a bit to do with that. But there's also a whole bunch of other layers and considerations to put into that particular situation. And I've spoken a little bit about skin reactions before, and generally, what I recommend and what I've recommended in the past is if you do get a reaction from a certain oil or a certain place that you're applying it, then don't apply it there and don't use that oil. Maybe just the bottoms of your feet. Avoid the décolletage, and you can also use the oils internally. If you're getting skin reactions, cleansing from the inside and taking lifelong vitality using Terrazyme and drinking citrus oils is a great way to start to detoxify and cleanse the body and get it into an alkaline state. So by no means say to people, oh, well, you're toxic and you need to use more of this oil, which is kind of a bit of a contrast to this statement. And it's bold. It's bold. It is a bold statement. But there are other approaches that we can take when we react and when others we come into contact react to the essential oils when we apply them topically. And it usually starts with MUM, which is how I'm going to refer to the digestive system in this presentation, because that's how Boyd refers to it. It's all about MUM, is what he says. So the next thing that he also touched on that is a carry on from what we just spoke about just now. Essential oils don't tear down or break down any of our the organism that is our body and what our body is composed of. They purely restore balance to the body. So when we think about detoxification or a skin irritation or response, it's not the essential oils tearing down or breaking down parts of the body. It's purely just restoring balance to the body, and part of that may be a detoxification effect, or it could just be a little bit too much a little too soon, and that's when we need to work on the digestive system first. He also touched on the essential oils purely just being information from nature. bringing homeostasis and the instructions back to the body so it can be in its natural, healthy, and abundant state. That's all the oils are doing. They're not doing anything too crazy. Okay, we didn't see the link. You didn't see the link. Oh, all right. This was for the resources, right? Okay. I am going to post that in the event, okay? It's a bit.ly link, and basically it's bit.ly, as in all bit.ly links are, bit.ly/SOTC_resources. But I'm going to share that in our in the event. So that'll be at the end of this presentation. Cool. So moving on from that, and moving on to the digestive system. So he talked about this base protocol that can be used by everyone and for people who are, diseased or chronically ill before you even start the Symphony of the Cells protocols. So lifelong vitality, Terrazyme, and citrus oils. You guys have probably heard me talk a little bit about this recently since going to the Boy Truman training, but I'm just going to touch quickly on the lifelong vitality and from Boyd's perspective what these things do. So alpha CRS, this is all about detoxification, and basically it's just a bunch of plant-based antioxidants. There's a lot of ingredients in there, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint if you do have a reaction to alpha CRS like me, I do, then it's kind of hard to say, oh, well, it's this ingredient and I'm going to remove that ingredient. So I take Microplex VMZ and the XE Omega and Terrazyme, but I don't take alpha CRS. And I'll try to take it again someday, but I've tried a lot of times and I've walked away defeated. But I have talked to a few people that have experienced a similar sort of thing to me, and also a few people who work better in taking just one alpha CRS. And I could probably get away with taking one alpha CRS. Like I don't feel like I've lost too much energy, and I don't get too loose a stool, for lack of making that any more pretty than what I could there. But yeah, I get the runs and I lose weight, which I can't afford to do, and energy. So that's why I don't take the alpha CRS. But when you do introduce people to this, it's quite good and recommended to just start off by taking one of each of the lifelong vitality, and then just slowly increase that over time. It could be like after your first month. But it will also improve energy for those people who don't respond like I do. And then there's the omega. So this is, as you know, essential fatty acids and essential oils. So this is for cognitive health, cardiovascular health, and liver health. And he touched on this and said, just think about the Japanese and Eskimos. Like, they've got a diet that's rich in omegas, eating lots of seafood. And then you look at the nationwide cognitive and cardio issues. They're very, very, very minimal, very, very low. And it's to no surprise, because they're having a diet that's so rich in balanced level of omega-3s, omega-6s, and omega-5. So all the omegas at a healthy balanced level. So the Microplex VMZ, to finish it off, this is the fuel for our bodies, right? This is what I referred to in the past, and I will now, this is the space between cheeseburgers. I'm not saying go and eat crap and then take lifelong vitality and it'll all be okay. it does fill the gaps in our everyday diet, because not everyone's diet is perfect. Some people are, they're going to go to a birthday function, or they're going to go out for dinner, and various things. We've just been through the silly season. You guys know what I'm talking about. So this is just filling the gaps and just giving us the energy to keep our immune boosted, and just aid the functions of our body. And this is just all it is just crushed up fruit and veg in a vegetable cap, and it's equivalent of 12 servings of fruit and veg. So there you have the lifelong vitality range, which we should all be taking and loving and enjoying, as I do, and recommending to people as well that we do come into contact with. If this is repairing the body from the inside out, and taking the lifelong vitality pack is really where things changed for Renee and I when we were first introduced to doTERRA, and especially Renee with her IBS. That was a big game changer. So enzymes. So Boyd is huge on enzymes. Karen's got her hand up. Yes, please take it away, Karen.
Just a quick question. Are we going to get the vegan version in Australia?
I don't know if that has been worked on in Australia. I know that the question has been asked, but I believe there's more of a focus on getting all the other supplements, or more commonly used supplements like Parazyme and Mito2 Max and PB Assist, etc., before the vegan lifelong vitality comes in. It all has to be TGA approved, which is a very expensive and long process. And then they also need to find a manufacturer in Australia that can actually provide the vegan version of lifelong vitality. Yeah.
What's the Terrazyme used for?
Yeah, so we're gonna talk a bit about that right now.
Okay, thank you.
All good, Karen. Thanks for putting your hand up. So Terrazyme enzymes, to begin with, they're involved in all of our body's systems, all assimilation processes inside of our body. And a lot of people that, there's a big focus around protein. Our bodies primarily composed of proteins. Well, enzymes are a form of ProTEIN. And there was an invitation to do a little bit more additional reading on this by Tracy Gibbs, PhD Tracy Gibbs. So if you guys want to dive into that, please do. She talks about enzymes and the body and how they work. If you want to get all deep and sciencey, go and look up Tracy Gibbs. So the big thing that where we have things come to surface representing in different forms of skin irritations, various buildups of stuff that can't be broken down, is due to the lack of enzymes we are consuming in our diet. Because to get enzymes, we need to be eating living food, right? It can't be dead, deep fried shit like that. There's no enzymes in that. We rely completely on our pancreas and gallbladder and the digestive juices that we produce internally to be able to process all the stuff that we're throwing down our mouth and into our bodies. So we need all the help that we can get, and we get that from enzymes, from living food. You can get this by eating some fresh green leafy vegetables straight from the garden is the best form of probiotics and enzymes. And like we touched on before with the VMZ, not everyone's diet is full of leafy greens directly from the garden, because maybe we don't have the time for that. So enter Terrazyme. Just a little notes that I've taken around this. So bone spurs, Now that's actually caused by calcification of calcium not being broken down in the body. So it bunches up and forms spurs in the body because we're not breaking down calcium. Now, I know I said that I wouldn't go on about certain diets and get caught up on anything in particular, but if you were to eliminate a couple of things from your diet, if you're experiencing some health concerns, the first thing to go would be dairy, in my opinion. Dairy, gluten, and sugar, and definitely no preservatives. And when you're picking up things from the aisles in the supermarket, have a look. Does it have numbers? Maybe we can put it back on the shelf if it's got numbers, and go for the gluten-free options. There's plenty of dairy alternatives out there as well. So, and when you really think about it, this is the last part of my dairy rant. What other animal on the planet consumes the milk of another animal? No one but us. Are we not insane? Seriously, come on. What are we doing here? It's good when you're a little baby doing your breastfeeding, essential. Beyond that, we can come up with some alternatives for calcium and get that from other rich sources like broccoli and almonds and various other things. So another really good thing about the whole bone density thing, and everyone talking about, oh, calcium, you need that for bone density. By doing some impact exercise, especially up until you're 40, that is going to reduce, because our bones break down once we get to around the age of 40, and that's just what science knows and thinks now. It's not completely proven, doesn't need to be your belief, but that impact exercise is also really important as well. Side note, right, back on track, Byron. Terrazyme aids healthy digestion. So ever since going to Boyd's presentation, I actually went up and asked him at the end, and I said, I can't take alpha CRS. What do you recommend? And he said to take Terrazyme for I think he said, 6 weeks or whatever. And he suggests 2 to 3 Terrazyme capsules with main meals, or 2 to 3 times a day. So I've been doing this. I haven't actually tried to go back on alpha CRS yet. I will get there. Terrazyme, I have started taking that, and what things that I've noticed, I was getting a little eczema patch on the inside of one of my fingers, and that completely went when I started taking Terrazyme. So for skin conditions, Terrazyme, this is what we should be taking for dermatitis and psoriasis as well. And like I touched on before, let's start with the digestive system, and let's help the digestive system as much as possible with some digestive enzymes to process all the stuff that we're throwing at it. So yeah, we need to be taking this. I also spoke to Rob Young when we were in Guatemala, and I said, Australia needs Terrazyme. And that's when we spoke about products that are going to be TGA approved, and hopefully this is one that's going to happen fairly soon. So you still have to get Terrazyme from the US at the present, but I'm going to share with you during the course of this presentation how to get that for the best price. So helps with lactose intolerance and gas. So if you're still drinking, eating, consuming dairy, it's going to help break down the dairy. We can't overdose on enzymes. That's great news. So when we're having 2 to 3 capsules with each meal, I know it feels like you're kind of you're rattling with pills at first when you're first taking Lifelong Vitality and Terrazyme. You're having 12 capsules of Lifelong Vitality, and then you put another 2 to 3 capsules with each meal of Terrazyme on top of that. You kind of get used to it. It just becomes second nature, but it does feel like a lot at first. And it's how you get used to it, and you don't want to stop once you start, when you feel the energy, the immunity, and the benefits that you get from all of these supplements. So his next big thing that he recommended was the citrus oils in water, and the benefits of limonene. And basically what limonene is it helps the body produce a natural form of antioxidants, which is glutathione. Glutathione. Thank you, Jen. I knew you were going to come to the party on that one.
And it's a I instead of a Y, but otherwise, yeah. And it's glutathione.
Glutathione. Should have turned the US spell checker off, whatever it is to blame. I'm going to roll with that. Glutathione. Awesome. Thank you, Jen. So this is why using or taking citrus oils in a big part of the citrus oils in our water is so beneficial, restoring the alkalinity in our body, and also stimulating our metabolism. We've been taking squeezed lemon in water for a long time, and I've heard stories of air hostesses being forced to drink lemon water to maintain their figure, and funny things like that. So the difference between the lemon oil, lemon water, or squeezed lemon is the effect on our teeth. So we don't get that acidic effect from lemon attacking our teeth in comparison to lemon oil, wild orange, the many citrus oils. Boyd loves tangerine. I'm a bit of a creature of habit, which is a typical male trait. So I'll have lemon water every morning. I have been for the last 6.5 years, and I'll do easy 5, sometimes 6 drops with 600 mils of water. That's how I start every single day after a tongue scraping. And this lifts the mood, and also gets the metabolism going, gets things moving. And I'll do that before any kind of food, and won't eat in the morning until after I've done a bit of exercise, bit of body movement. So big on citrus oils. It's all about mum, right? It's all about the digestive system, restoring alkalinity in the body. Some other things to note that he spoke about the digestive system were painkillers, shutting down peristalsis, which is the natural flow of our digestive system that contracts food through our digestive system. And this just happens in our subconscious state. It's just an autonomic function of the body. And when we're taking these major painkillers, this will stop peristalsis, so that you might experience constipation when you are taking painkillers. And we can look at some alternatives there using essential oils. He is also the son of a wonderful woman named Carol, who wrote a book called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. So it's no surprise you've got quite a knowledgeable and passionate son by the name of Boyd, who would go on to do some amazing things with essential oils and making a huge impact globally. And he touched on being aware of the emotional state of mind and the gut and brain link. And this is another thing that Renee and I learnt through our journey as well with IBS. And the gut and brain link, the mind's out, the gut's out, the gut's out, the mind's out. It's all linked, right? So you'll find that most people with IBS, it's a combination of diet, environmental factors, and emotions and stress. It's not just one thing. It's a holistic approach. Right, so a demonstration of the technique, which I'm going to call in my my little my beautiful assistant of called by the name of Renee, who's responding to my message now. Coming after I go. Okay, I won't repeat that message. She's on her way. So I'm just gonna. Is anybody seeing this video? No. Okay, cool. So I'm going to play this just while we wait for Renee to do a thing. And I'm just going to explain a little bit about it. So you can see he's just dumped some oils on the back. In comparison to Aroma Touch, he's gone down the spine, just one stroke, and then applied it to the lower back, and then just circular motions up the spine, and then comes up to the neck, applies a bit around the neck. And you know, being a massage therapist, you can see he's using a little bit of a technique and pressure there, but you know, that's basically the technique in a nutshell. And then with the residual essential oils left on the hand, so the remaining essential oils, rather than putting more oils on the recipient, he simply just applies that to the feet. Now, between that and so we'll just watch that again while I just talk about it and we wait for Renee. Between this technique here, where he is applying the oils to the recipient's spine and the feet, we just about every single protocol and every oil, he gets the recipient to smell the essential oils. And this is a key difference as well between the Symphony of the Cells and Aroma Touch technique, is a lot of the technique is, you know, bringing in the aromatherapy element of the essential oils into the treatment. But as you can see, very, very, very simple to perform. That's it. That is it. So as my my beautiful assistant, just on me. Yep, up to you. We're ready for you. I can turn the camera off. Yes, I can do that. We have a shy assistant tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so the video stopped. So while the video is stopped, I'm going to pull a rabbit out of my hat. Beautiful wife here will arrive on the table and we'll be able to do a demonstration. Nope. Nope. Okay, so we're going to perform the basic technique. So in the resources link that I shared you'll be able to see this basic technique, and basically what the basic technique is just 4 oils, but I'm also going to add the fractionated coconut oil to it, because that's added in just about every single technique. Now, just touching on fractionated coconut oil and skin sensitivities, if you're going to be using hot oils, you know, like clove and cinnamon, and even On Guard for certain people, sorry, then you may want to apply less of that oil and include fractionated coconut oil with that as well. Okay, so my beautiful assistant has arrived on the table, and I'm just going to stop this share, and I'm going to come down to the table here. Can everybody see my beautiful assistant? Yes, everyone can see that? Yep, excellent. Okay, so I'm just opening up to my little handbook that I have here, which I've given you in our resources link. And I'm just turning to and Robin has as well, the basic protocol there. So you can just bring that along with you. And we simply So this is
Just 1 drop, please.
okay. We've had a request for 1 drop. I haven't told you the guys, you guys, what the story was about your recent experience. But I will.
It's fine.
I will. I'll tell them in a moment. Okay.
Don't touch my underwear.
Okay. Right.
I get really cute.
This model talks back. May have something to do with the you know, I don't know, been together for 11 years now. Yeah. Oh, she's not talking now. Okay. So to start with, all the protocols, they start with frankincense, and the reason why is this is just a great opening oil, and it's a sedative and provides a calm and relaxing state. So always remain in contact with the recipient. I've just got my hand on Renee's shoulder here, and I'm just going to apply some oils to her back. So like we saw on the instructional video, it was just down the spine, across the back, and then circular motion up the back, on the neck. And then what we do with that residual that we have in our hand is we get that and we bring it down to Renee's nose here, let her have a smell, and then we get the residual remaining essential oil there and apply that to her feet. So I can see that somebody's doing a screen share here, so I'm just, bear with me, Renee, I'm gonna have to come back and mute and fix what's going on here. Sorry about that. Sorry, Lee, I think you just accidentally shared your screen. Okay, that was impressive. I haven't seen anybody do that before.
Was it me or my sister? I don't know what happened. I didn't touch it.
I don't know, somebody with a an apple. It's all good. Not a problem.
Is that better?
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you. All right. Okay, so back to the drawing board here. So same with the fractionated coconut oil. It's usually the second essential oil that's applied in all the techniques, and just a great way to provide a little bit of dilution. So down the spine, across the back, and then circular motions up the back to the shoulders, the neck. And you don't have to worry about the aromatic portion for that essential oil, obviously, for obvious reasons. And then we have tea tree. Down the back, across the lower back, circular motions, up the back, up the neck. Requesting our recipient to have a nice big, deep whiff of our tea tree. And then just with the residual here, just applying that to Renee's feet. And last but not least, we have Aroma Touch. Applying it down the spine, across the lower back, circular motions, up and around the neck. Renee, have a whiff. And applying to the feet. And I'm not going to do peppermint because Renee is breastfeeding at the moment. Thank you, my beautiful model. Because Renee's breastfeeding at the moment, so I'm just going to turn off my camera again and allow Houdini to make this woman disappear from the table behind me. Thanks, Reddy. You're good to go. Oh yeah, our window's open, so all the neighbours can see. You can't see anything, guys, but our whole neighbourhood can. Might have to fix that up. Okay, back to our slideshow. Right, so everybody can see the screen again, and they can see me. I think. Awesome. So I'm just going to bring you guys up. And you guys, does that make sense, that technique? Does that look like was that pretty simple? Pretty easy to perform? A lot easier than aroma touch, I reckon. Yeah, that's it. That is in a nutshell. And it's some of this information around that. Yeah, Rob, you got a question? I'll unmute you. There you go. Oops. Try again. Nah, not working. Can't unmute you, unfortunately.
Oh,
there
am
we
I
go.
unmuted now? Oh.
Yes.
So, you said you didn't use peppermint because Renee's breastfeeding.
Yes.
So does that make any difference to the protocol if you miss one of the oils? Like what? What does that sort of take away from it, or what does it,
Yep. That's a good question. So yes and no. So if somebody reacts negatively to a certain oil, or asks not to use the oil, you're better off omitting it rather than saying, no, you must have it because it's part of the protocol. Renee specifically asked, can you not apply peppermint to me because I'm breastfeeding? I know other mums that use peppermint. Some even use it internally and they don't have a problem. But then some mums are very sensitive and they can't even smell it, let alone have it applied topically or use it internally. Yeah. So everyone's different, but the reason why peppermint is in that basic protocol is we think of it like the racing car driver, and it actually drives all of the essential oils, other essential oils, deep into our tissues. So that's why peppermint is used last in that protocol.
Okay.
But for demonstration purposes.
So you wouldn't try and you wouldn't have like an alternative to use. It's just best to leave it off if the person doesn't agree with them or whatever.
That's a really good question, and there is a substitutions list, okay, which I've got at the end of this presentation coming up very soon.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Brilliant question. Thanks, Rob. Okay. All right. So got frequently asked questions here. When I say frequently asked, these are just some things that came up at the training and have been commonly asked. So we did touch on this. Where do we start? Always start with the digestive protocol in most cases, and the lymphatic system protocol. For young, old and diseased, how much can you use? Start with 2 drops of each with fractionated coconut oil, especially for people have skin sensitivities, breastfeeding mums, pregnant mums, infants, just 1 drop with fractionated coconut oil. So treat mums who are pregnant or breastfeeding as if they are a baby, because they are just so hypersensitive. Now everyone's different. Some are less sensitive than others, so maybe you can use 2, maybe even 3 drops in some cases, but you certainly wouldn't be doing 5 to 6 drops. Like I did a couple of nights ago, I did the C2 protocol on Renee because she said she was feeling a little bit virally and a little bit stressed. So I went to my Symphony of the Cells journal feeling empowered, and I went to town with the C2 protocol oils and did probably about 5 to 6 of each of those oils. And I was a little bit proud of myself because I was like, yes, I'm waking up the beast. But it was perhaps a little bit too much. So sorry, Renee. Sorry, I'm glad that she came back and was a willing model for me tonight. But this is why we've gone a couple less oils. Even Dylan, it was just too much for Dylan as well. And she had the cold sweats. So, we certainly woke up the beast. And this is something that Boyd talked about in his training, is when, people need to process some stuff, then there's going to be a bit of a waking up the beast, and there's going to be cold sweats and all sorts of reactions. But just make people aware of this if they do agree to wake up the beast. Otherwise, focus on digestive first. Start small and work your way up. So how often should you perform protocols? So 3 times a week. This is for diseased and chronic issues, like for health concerns, when you are reaching out to someone or someone's approached you and you've said, okay, we've got this protocol of oils and I'm going to provide the technique for you and give you some homework. And you want to do that for at least 2 to 3 months before you come back and go, okay, how's the digestive system going? Obviously, you're going to ask them every time you see them, but to really check in and have a notable major difference, be consistent and do it for at least a month before going, okay, how am I feeling? What's the situation? And expect to see some major results over 2 to 3 months. Even 6 times a week for severe conditions. I feel that 3 times a week is plenty, especially when you're using that many oils and that amount of oils. So can you perform the application on yourself? The answer is yes. So a quick demo I'll just step back a little bit here so you can see me. So basically, what you would do is you would grab your oil and put some drops into your hand and lift up your shirt and apply it to your lower back and just work.
We can hardly see you, Byron.
You can hardly see me. Can you see me now?
It's still on screen sharing.
Of course. Thank you, Karen. Stopping the share. All right. Now this is better. You see me better? Awesome. Okay. So oils in hand, oils on back, and just working your way up as much as possible. So with both hands, just working your way up the spine as far as possible. Maybe you can get 2 to 3 drops of the oil for your lower back, and then another 2 to 3 for the back of your neck, and as far down as you can go on your spine, like so.
Byron?
Yep.
I've got a lady, I've got quite a few ladies with fibromyalgia, and I was thinking of doing up the little roll-ons for each individual one so that they can roll them on themselves, because they can't actually get their arms around the back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you do the drops, some drops in the roll-on with the fractionated coconut oil for each individual one, and they apply it just the same and just do what they can with wiping it on?
Yep. So have you seen those roller sticks that you can get from Aroma Tools?
I saw them, yeah. Where do you get them from? I saw them at down in Sydney one time at one of the shows, and I didn't have these clients then. I just get them from Aroma Tools or something like that.
Yeah, so au.aromatools.com.
Okay.
I think they're like $15-20, something like that.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. That'll solve the problem. Thank you.
It makes it a lot easier for those people with limited mobility.
Yeah, they're very limited. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, even the feet. No worries, Shez. Thank you. Even the bottoms of the feet with those applicators. So you can put a 15 mil in them, and you can also put a roller. But if you were to put the oils in a roller and you were to do the Symphony of the Cells technique on yourself, then I would make sure that I'm not over diluting them. So I'd do a 50-50 dilution ratio if I was to use a roller. Preferably, we want to be doing, having someone perform the technique and dropping the oils onto the back by somebody else. We don't always get that luxury. So this is why we're looking at this option. And then we can dive into that even further with limited mobility, etc. It's better to get oils on the body than not at all, right? So however we do it, we
definitely
do what we can. Yeah,
definitely.
We don't all have the luxury of
flexibility and youthfulness and all of the above.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All good, Ches. Thank you. So once we've done the back of our neck with the remaining 2 to 3 drops, then we would just simply have a nice couple of aromatic inhales, as we would do if we were just using the oils aromatically anyway. And then just get the residual amount on our hands and apply it to our feet. There you go. There's a little bit of mobility and flexibility. You don't have to do that at home. All right. So does everybody think that that's pretty doable, achievable? Bit of homework that can be done by ourselves?
Definitely.
Excellent, because there is a challenge.
I'm muting.
All good, thanks, Shez. So this is what Boyd calls 4 weeks to wellness, or 4W2W. And this is just a really basic guidance on when to apply which protocols over a 4-week period. So we've got the digestive. We always start with the digestive protocol, and then we move on to the lymphatic application through forgiveness, which is all about emotions. We all need a bit of forgiving, right? I was so excited when they released the Forgive blend. There's a lot of forgiving of oneself, others globally to be done. So a very smart move to put that in as at number 3. And then we move through the various other protocols in there, and then come into some of the more sucker punch approach or protocols like the C2, the infectious disease, and amoebic towards the end and the last week of the 4 weeks. So you can do that yourself, just like I demonstrated before, or you can have somebody else do that for you, or you can do this for others too. So this is a really good way for some people that you're introducing to the oils to perform this application, or show others how to perform this application and experience life-changing results, not only physically but emotionally as well. So really, really cool. I am meant to be screen sharing again. Thank you so much, guys. I am going to bring that up right now. All this swapping and changing. So Rob, you've got a question. I'm going to answer your question while we look at this challenge chart. And you take yourself off mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just a quick question in stuff we've already talked about. So, it said normally you would start with the digestive protocol and then the lymphatic or whatever. So that basic protocol that you did on Renee, what's that for? Like when would you use that?
Yep. So if we were to look in the book.
I've got the book, but I must admit I haven't read it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So to look, like if we look in the book, the body systems, it says digestive, immune, and respiratory. Some example conditions are anxiety, asthma, body aches, cold, congestion, croup, diarrhea, earaches, fever, flu, headache, immune, yada, yada, yada. So this is just a base application, and I chose the basic application for the demonstration just so you guys didn't need to watch me perform that simple application and technique for 10 oils, because we only needed to do it 4 times, and you watch the video as well. So I think you kind of got it. That's purely the only reason why I chose the basic application as a demonstration, is because it's the smallest. It's only 4 oils.
But why has he got it in there if you should start with the digestive? Like it says normally start with the digestive protocol, which is a separate thing.
Yep.
So is the basic one just for a general kind of thing?
Yep. Yeah. So the application book that you've got.
Yep.
The first protocol is called basic.
Yep.
Because the protocols are in alphabetical order.
Okay.
Yeah. So B basic. I don't know if he's called it basic. So it is at the start of the book. But what you'll find is frankincense, tea tree, and aroma touch and peppermint are very common amongst all of the protocols.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is kind of like a base.
Yep.
This is a real base for a lot of the protocols.
Okay. So if you've got somebody that you want to do this on, and just say they've got a few different issues or no particular issues whatsoever, that would be a good one to do on them. Yeah.
Yeah. Or digestive and lymphatic.
Okay.
Yeah. I would do basic if I had a limited amount of oils and a limited amount of time.
Okay.
That's when I would do basic.
All right.
Yeah.
No worries.
Otherwise, I would go straight to what the person needs, or digestive and lymphatic.
Okay.
Carmen, I think you've got your hand up.
Hi. Yeah. My question's kind of related. I've got the application book as well, but I read online the other day that there's an additional resource that you can get from Symphony for Cells, which has an intro 1 and an intro 2 protocol, which they mentioned as specifically being not in this book. So I just wanted to ask you about that, what that is, and why is it not in the book?
Yep. So you called it intro 1 and intro 2?
Yeah, that's what I read it as.
Right. Okay. To be honest, he didn't talk about that at all.
Okay.
And I have seen something in the group recently, in the last day or two that I've been poking around in there, come up saying that there's some new and exciting protocols that have been released, but I don't know much about them.
Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, I can't really answer that one.
That's okay.
Sorry. Cool. Chat, somebody just asked, and in the 4W2W, it is to do digestive on day 1, skip days 2, then do lymphatic on day 4, correct? So we're kind of just going, day 1, digestive app, day 2, big X, nothing, day 3, nothing, lymphatic application on day 4, yeah? I'm glad you asked this question, Jen, because it actually took me a bit to understand that. And it was so obvious that I couldn't find an explanation for how that chart worked. But I eventually found it and made sense of it. And it's you skip days 2 and 3 and do the application on days 1, 4, 8, 11 through to 27. Would you do this when you're doing the 10-day gut protocol? You can. I would suggest that you just do lifelong vitality, terrazyme, citrus oils, and this, because you're going to be doing enough detoxification and cleansing and waking up the beast as it is with this protocol and the amount of oils that you're going to be putting on your body. So I would suggest you just do one thing at a time, although there is a little tip that I'll share in a moment just about infectious disease. So Jen's just asked, would it be thinking you would break from the gut protocol while you would do, and yeah, it may be a little bit too much, Jen, you're right. Doing all of these protocols at the same time as the gut protocol, being the GX Assist or the 4 to 5 oils that we always do, frankincense, tea tree, oregano, and on guard. So maybe a little bit too much oils for the oils, although for the body, although, you know, Boyd is so staunch on the amount of oils that he uses. He's there as he's applying all these oils to bodies in demonstration, he's putting them all in his mouth, and he has like 80 drops of oils internally, like before it's even midday. So this is, it's next level sort of stuff. I'm not saying it's for everybody to do that, and no, neither would I recommend for everybody to do that, but he definitely does remove a lot of the fear out of using the essential oils in higher doses, topically and internally. So back to our presentation here. So during the 4-week to wellness challenge, I suggest you either do this before and during the protocols, taking the lifelong vitality, taking the Terrazyme, the citrus water, and an optional extra there is the Zendocrine soft gels. So once again, you can only get Terrazyme and Zendocrine from the US at this stage, but we can get the Zendocrine blend, which you can put into a veggie cap, and you would put just 2 to 3 drops of the Zendocrine in a veggie cap, and you take that 2 to 3 times a day with meals. So when you're taking your Terrazyme, you're taking the Zendocrine as well. And this is all about liver detoxification. So great for that fatty liver. Great for heavy metals, cleaning the blood. So that's an optional extra if you feel like you can rattle a little bit extra with some more pills while you're doing the 4 weeks to wellness challenge. Okay, so oil substitutions. This was a question that was asked. I think Rob, you asked or touched on this about oil substitutions. If you don't have a certain oil, or maybe you don't want to use a certain oil, I'm going to go for something, like let's use peppermint as an example, because it's quite common when we're doing aromatouch training. This will be somebody in the room that says, I don't love peppermint. I can tolerate small amounts, or I hate it, whatever. Is there an alternative? And we have 3 substitutions there. So you've got Ice Blue, which is the soothing blend, or when we call it in Australia, athletic blend. There's also spearmint, which is a mint as well, but it's a different mint. And then you've got Digesen, which is digestive blend, which has peppermint in it as well. And so does Ice Blue. So, just choose your poison. But there is some alternatives there. And really what this chart has been put together for is when people don't have an oil, let's just, for example, say not everybody has Melissa. I'm going to go straight to Melissa, which is, I highly recommend having this in your essential oil first aid kit. It's a beautiful and amazing, powerful oil, but not everybody has it. So what else can I use in place of Melissa? You can use black pepper, lemongrass, or copaiba. So that's more what I would use the oil substitutions list for. Now I've put this chart in our resources link as well, our resources link folder. And I'm going to show you at the end of this presentation, because I've been referring to it so many times and I was absolutely blowing it before, not showing my beautiful presentation, but that's cool. We'll get to that. So there is also a cost breakdown that has been put together by the Symphony of the Cells crew. So you can see each of the applications and how much it costs for retail and wholesale. And let's just look at C2, for example. So C2 is one that I did, the one that I did for Renee a couple of days ago now. And that one has a wholesale value of, and it's got some cool oils, turmeric, spikenard, melissa, frankincense, of course. And it's got some powerful oils in there. So it's no wonder she responded the way she did. But yeah, that's going to be up around the $35 to $40 mark. Whereas you got your basic there, that's only going to cost you $6.50 when you use 8 drops of each. 8 drops of each. It's a lot of oils. So it's still, relatively cheap when we look at that wholesale price. But this gives you an idea of how much it's going to cost you to perform a technique on someone that you're offering this for, and maybe you want to cover your costs, which I feel, you shouldn't feel like you don't or you can't do that. But it's good just to be aware of how much the oils are costing that you're lathering in large amounts over people's bodies. So just be aware of that.
Byron, I can only see on my screen, it doesn't come up. I've got the Inflam app as the last one, and then I can't see the next one after that.
Okay.
It's probably because all our faces are there or whatever, and I'm not very good on the computer, but
yeah, that's cool.
Change of view. Click up the top right-hand corner and click out of that gallery view.
So it says swap shared with video. Now I'm Jen Draper. Hold on.
You might even be able to minimize.
Got it. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
So if you can't see this this cost breakdown, I've actually got this shared in that resources folder as well. If you can't see it, then that is in that resources folder that you can print out. But yeah, that's a good bit of awareness that to know how much you're lathering onto people and what to charge, and how much you are gifting to somebody, which is a beautiful thing to do. I once have had somebody who enrolled with an oil sharing kit, and they used every last drop on sampling out to everybody, which I thought was a lovely thing. But they only realized once it was all finished, right? It's like, whoa, I just gave away $1,400 worth of oils. That was really generous of me. Okay, so other
Sorry,
yes.
Just before you go on with that substitution, because
Yes.
some of those protocols have got, multiple different oils, and I did ask the question, but there were a lot of questions there. So I know there was one of those protocols, I can't remember which one it was, but it's got yarrow pom and blue tansy in it, and like those two you can substitute. So if you say, for example, didn't have blue tansy and it said do yarrow pom and then do blue tansy, would you do the yarrow pom twice, or would you just apply it once? If, in the sequence, it had like 10 oils that you had to use, and, they're separated in terms of time. What I'm wondering about is the importance in the order within which the oils are applied. So therefore, if you're going to be doing a substitution, you need to actually duplicate the oil that you're having to substitute. Do you understand my question?
Sure, I do. And if you were to do that, I suggest that you actually look for a different substitution. So let's just say you substituted yarrow pom for blue tansy, and then you come up to blue tansy and it was yarrow pom, and you don't have yarrow pom, then I'd have a look at a different substitution, whether it be black pepper or melissa in the yarrow pom instance, or in the blue tansy instance, Roman chamomile or ice blue, because the beauty of the essential oils is the diversity of them. So by introducing another oil, we're just taking a whole new, beautiful, more complex level of healing and constituents into the body that the body is going to benefit from.
But basically what you're saying is that really you do, in terms of preparing the protocols or delivering the protocols, you really do have to honor each individual oil. You can't leave one of them out. you need to use those substitutions and keep the flow going.
Preferably, I wouldn't omit oil. I'd prefer to substitute it. And the more variety that you have, rather than just doubling up, the better. I don't think there's any point in doubling up. You could do it a second time, and it probably will take on a different therapeutic value. And it's probably better doing that than nothing at all. But the more variation, the more variety that we provide with the oils and the substitution options, the better. Cool. So there was a little bit of chat there about the costing with AUD and USD. It is AUD for that cost breakdown. I haven't bothered with the US breakdown. We buy all of our oils from through the Australian site. It's only really the supplements that we need to buy from the US at this stage, or if it's a brand new product, but I've just kept it as the AUD cost breakdown for the presentation. Okay, so just keeping in mind the time, I've said 9:30 your time finish. So I want to honor that as close as possible, even though it's just clicked over to that. And I want to thank you guys for being so interactive, asking questions, being inquisitive and staying with me the whole time. But some other little notes that I took along the way through the training, I may even touched on this, so there could be a little bit of a double up here. But Terrazyme for eczema, Terrazyme for bone spurs, psoriasis is caused by a fatty liver, or also heavy metal toxification. So start with the Symphony of the Cells digestive protocol and Zendocrine, and taking that Zendocrine internally in a veggie cap or the soft gels. Geranium for jaundice, applying it to the bottoms of the feet and the liver. These are just a couple of little tips that Boyd was just sharing along the way as people asked questions and things came up. Rosacea. So this is caused by hormone imbalance. So once again, Symphony of the Cells digestive protocol, frank rosemary and clary sage in a veggie cap to restore hormonal balance. So anything hormonal imbalance, frank rosemary and clary sage in a veggie cap. Sorry, I can just hear a little bit of, I'm just going to mute. Sorry, BB. Who's BB? Hello.
Hi, Byron. Mum just wants to, Mum Isabel in Macau wants to ask a question. She just doesn't know how to unmute her screen.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
She's wanting to know where she wants to buy the book for Symphony of the Cells. I'm thinking if that's what she meant.
Yeah, cool. So it's Oils for Life.
Oils for Life. Okay.
Oils for Life is the website. If you go to Google and just type in Oils for Life Australia, then you'll get an Australian website that comes up, and you'll have the application book and the journal that you can get from there, and a couple of other resources. But really all you need is the application book to start with, and I've got a copy of that. Naughty me, don't share that with the world, in that resources folder.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I may have missed this. I just have one question for myself. With the protocols, I've got the book, The Essential Life, that has all the kind of, immune system and lymphatic system. And then the next page has single oils. Is that considered a protocol for the single oils that's on the next page? There's like 5 oils or so.
Yeah, so the Essential Life, it does have protocols, and they're more like recipes. I love the Essential Life book. That's my go-to for referencing.
Awesome. Okay.
But yeah, just a little bit different, and the difference. Yeah, look, the difference is the application method. Those recipes and protocols in the Essential Life book are more for blends. So blends that you would make up in a roller bottle. In general, that's generally how most of the recipes work for specific health concerns in the Essential Life versus the Symphony of the Cells technique and application.
Fantastic. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, BB. All right. For sense of smell, helichrysum on the bridge of the nose and sinus. We touched on the hormonal balancing before, libido, ylang ylang, Roman chamomile, and clary sage in a veggie cap internal. So we can be taking some of these protocols for some targeted concerns at the same time as doing the Symphony of the Cells protocols. Endometriosis, we touched on this about the dairy and the sugar. Remove that from the diet. It's caused by a buildup of mucus in the fallopian tubes. And there's a couple of other different female reproductive health concerns that are caused by the same thing. Just got to get rid of that sugar in the dairy, right? And along with the gluten as well. So skin issues, we've got one chat come up there. How many drops in a veggie cap do you think of the frank clary sage and the rosemary and the ylang ylang, etc.? I usually would go for 2 of each of those, 2 to 3. There's 3 mentioned in those. 2 to 3 of each will be fine. Skin issues may arise with those protocols mentioned here. So C1, C2, and ID, which is infectious disease. And if that happens, we touched on this, work on MIME, the digestive system. For an inflammatory response, if you've twisted some joints or broken yourself and on and around your bones and joints and muscles, etc., you can take these internally, this Copaiba soft gels and the deep blue polyphenol complex. So Renee took the deep blue polyphenol complex when she broke her wrist riding. I think it was about 2 years ago now. And that helped her a lot just with the pain of the broken bones. She also used comfrey poultice as well to help the mending of the bones too, which is this little side note. We talked about heavy metals a little bit with Zendocrine. You can actually, cilantro is in Zendocrine. You can just use cilantro by itself. Frankincense is also really good for detoxing and pulling heavy metals, as well as cilantro. But Boyd suggested using cilantro with a binder like charcoal or a muculant. Muculant, an example of that, you got aloe vera juice. You've also got chia seeds as a muculant. Anything that forms that jelly type substance, because it's pulling the heavy metals out of our body, our digestive system, with the muculant nature. And it's the same with the charcoal. It's like it draws the heavy metals and the toxins into that substance. Thyroid issues, this emotionally, or it could be environmentally linked to voice suppression. So, thyroid issues. Think about what you need to get off of your chest, what you need to vocalize, what you need to say to people around you, maybe even to yourself. Liver detox, 15 drops of rose in a veggie cap. That's quite a hefty price for liver detoxification, but it's a protocol that was suggested by Boyd. Forgive protocol, allow people to sit for 15 to 20 minutes after doing this protocol on them, because this brings up and shifts a lot of emotional stuff. And I've seen this happen in Aroma Touch as well before. I think these techniques, as I perform them, we perform them more, we're probably going to see more stuff coming up, which is cool, to help people move through these things, but just give some people some time and space. Don't just usher them off out of the room and into a car when they may need a time to download and integrate. Connective tissue internal protocol. So if you've done any of that, any damage to your joints, ball joints, etc., cartilage. Lemongrass, lecrosum, Siberian fir, inner veg cap. So these are some internal protocols that are mentioned. When you're doing the digestive protocol and you're applying the oils to the lower back, just kind of reach around a little bit and apply it on the stomach. This is something that you want to be comfortable with the person that you're applying the technique on. So maybe ask permission, or just say, hey, I'm going to kind of reach around with these oils and apply a little bit on your bowel for these reasons. But that will be really assistive and take on a new level of benefits when you do that. So one of the questions which I said we would touch on about the GX Assist or the gut protocol, when you're doing that for 10 days, would you be doing the Symphony of the Cells protocols? And this is one suggestion that was made when for infectious disease, being bacterial or viral, maybe even parasitic, to take GX Assist, which is kind of similar to the gut health protocol that Jen was referring to, and Karen, in conjunction with the infectious disease Symphony of the Cells protocol for that 10 days. So that's the only instance that it was mentioned that you would do the two in conjunction together when there is an infectious disease present. Use the lymphatic protocol for weight loss. The maximum application, this was created for supporting people with cancer, along with, very importantly, getting the body alkaline. So this is why the Kagan water systems were created for cancer patients, to get the body in an alkaline environment. So, removing basically vegan diet and just lots of green leafy foods and alkaline foods. You can check that out on the internet, what you need to do. The neurological app and omegas for neurological concerns, we touched on why. The osteo app with citrus oils to get the body alkaline for osteoporosis and bone density related health concerns. The thing that's causing the bones to break down is the acidity in the body. It's not due to the lack of calcium. It's due to our body being too acidic. So we want to introduce some citrus oils along with diet, obviously. Carpal tunnel, lemongrass, and basil sensory app. So this is a very sensitive topic, and I usually do not talk about this at all in our groups because it can cause a big divide. But let it be known, I'm just passing on information that was shared with us at the training day. And this was a question that was asked: what application can I use for vaxxed damaged children and or ADHD? And the answer was sensory application. And the last one, for the adrenal fatigue, which is so often we come across this, especially some of the areas that have been affected by the bushfires. We've just been in this fight or flight state. The Solar app is a really good protocol to use. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I am going to allow you guys a bit of time and space to take yourself off mute and ask some questions, and I'm going to find that link that I didn't show you before. And while you think of your questions or forever hold your peace, I'm going to bring up that link right now. Here we go. Okay. So there is your link for all of your resources that you need to get started with the Symphony of the Cells, whether it be on yourself or offering it to other people, sharing it with other people. That has everything in there, from the oil substitutions to the protocols, to the 4 weeks to wellness, challenge checklist, and a couple of other pieces of information. And I have also shared this presentation in there as well. So, Sue-Ann, I think you might have a question for me.
I do.
Yeah, cool.
Off the top of your head, that connective tissue internal protocol. Just wondering how many drops. There's a lemongrass, helichrysum, and Siberian fir.
Yep.
I'd love to know that one.
Yeah, cool. So I would do 2 to 3 of those.
Yep.
In a veggie cap, and that's purely just because that's all a veggie cap will fit in it.
Yeah.
It fits between 10 to 12 drops of essential oils in a veggie cap at max.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, guys. All these beautiful compliments coming through. I really appreciate you all and joining me tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'm sorry I went a little bit over, but this is so much juicy stuff.
Mm.
Is there any more questions at all, guys?
Thank you, Byron. It's a lot to take in, but it's good resources.
Yeah, awesome, Karen. Look, just one drop at a time, and start just by having a look at that application book, and that will really make a lot more sense when you take a look at that, and just start practicing it on yourself and others, and you'll get comfortable with it.
I'll have to order that roller extension thing, because with my shoulder I still can't get my arm behind my back yet.
Shame. Yeah, that or a good friend will definitely come in handy.
The cat won't do it.
Oh, come on. I'm the next time I look at YouTube, I expect a viral video to be coming from you, from this cat that now has been taught how to massage. Watch this space. Just be careful. Cats are very sensitive to essential oils.
Yes. Yes.
He'll have to put his little kitty gloves on.
Byron?
Yes.
Me again. There was a protocol that came up for like connective tissue.
Yes.
Would that be good for, I've got like 2 full thickness tears in my rotator cuff. Would that work? Would that help that, do you think?
Yeah, it's worth a go. You could do a combination of applying and also taking internally. So if you were going to apply, have a look at the essentials, the Essential Life protocol for the connective tissue topical application,
Okay,
and then do that internal application I was mentioned at the end, which was lemongrass and helichrysum and Roman chamomile.
Yeah.
And you could take that in conjunction with doing the topical application, and just be diligent. You have to do it twice a day of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
And a bit of movement as well. Just light movement.
Yeah.
Where you're limited with that movement and you do feel pain, just start doing some light stretching. It's so important to keep it moving. We often make the mistake when we injure ourselves to not move it, and it just gets inflamed and it doesn't repair right. It just I like
it gets movement. I can't. I'm right-handed and it's on my right shoulder. So
okay.
I'm
No
doing
choice.
it all the time. I don't know whether I'm doing the right movements, but you know, you can't
Yeah.
when it's the arm that you write with and do everything with. So
Yeah, and a lot of that becomes unconscious movement because you're right-handed, so you use your right hand every day for so many thousands of tasks.
yes, exactly.
Like, how often do you sit down and you know, do some intentional movement, some conscious movement, and
No.
listen to your body? Yeah.
Don't get time for that. I'll have to make.
You'll have to make some, absolutely. Make some
Yes.
space.
Right, thanks.
No worries, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Boz.
My pleasure as always. Okay, yep, awesome. Somebody's shared the roller. Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to jump off now. I've got a little visitor. Do you want to say hello? Oh, she loves to come and say hello to everybody.
Yes.
I don't know if people saw, but I'm happy to do a group order of the books as well from Oils for Life and Central Coast people and Sydney people who want to just combine postage. That's it.
I've already got the book, so.
Say bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andy.
Bye. See you next time. Gotcha. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thanks
See you
for
in
joining.
Melbourne.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank
We'll see
you.
you soon.
Thank
Cheers.
you, Byron.
Bye.
Thank you, Byron.
My pleasure. Is that Isabel?
Yes, but I don't know what I've done. It's look at the other side, you know, because of the screen. Oh, okay.
Oh, I can see you now. There you are. Awesome.
Hi, Byron. Thank
Great
you
to see
very
you.
much. It was awesome.
My
Yeah.
pleasure. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
joining.
I will try and order the book for the Symphony of Cells so that I learn how to apply, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll find it in that resources link as well that I shared with you.
Yeah, because I'm in Macau, so it's a little bit difficult, you know, because we don't have any of this. Either have to come from Australia or America.
Oh, you'll be the oil supplier for Macau in no time.
I hope so.
The oil mule.
I hope so. Bye-bye, baby. Hi. It's all gorgeous.
Bye.
Bye, Indy.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye. See you.
See ya.